Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are going to be doing a Blue Eyes Shining Dragon deck profile. Now I profiled this deck last year for you guys, and you guys really enjoyed it, but that was before Master Rule 4 came out and Link Monsters was a thing. Now the deck needs to incorporate some Link Monsters to work properly, so that meant that you have to cut some things out of the extra deck. And we'll go over some things that you can run in the extra deck, things you can take out, and things of that nature at the end of the video. Now, like I've talked about on this channel before, there's multiple different ways that you can play Blue Eyes White Dragon. If you wanted to play more competitively, you probably could go with the standard version of Blue Eyes, which I've discussed on this channel, using a Morphage Goliath, using the Invoke engine, maybe even using a ritual variation. Those are a lot more competitive versions of Blue Eyes compared to this version. Now, at the time of making this video, it's kind of been leaked that we may possibly be getting a Blue Eyes Link monster. And if we do get that, I will update this deck as soon as that card comes out. But for right now, I'm working with what I got. It's pretty much a version of Blue Eyes that is focused on fusioning and also focusing on doing some Link shenanigans as well. So it's a more fun version of Blue Eyes to play. So first off, you run your Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. You can easily get this out by going into the old school Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and I have the old Show and Jump promo one. That was a secret rare back in the day. But that's what you use. You bring this out, which you can bring out pretty decently, pretty easily, and then you tribute it off to special summon this out. So that's how that works. But it's not the most ultimate play to go for. Most of the time, if you're able to go for this, it's sometimes to win the game more, it's better to go for the newer version of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which is Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So just saying that for people out there so they know. But if you want to just have some fun, just go for freaking Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, because it's freaking Blue Eyes Shining Dragon from the movie. Next we run our different versions of Blue Eyes, because I like running different variations as long as I'm not playing in my standard variation of Blue Eyes, I play the original Kaiba rarities, like these. But when I play different variations, I like playing different artworks of Blue Eyes, like the original artwork, or the world artwork, or the Duelist Saga one, which looks beautiful, and I like the rarity of that. But 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, it's staple in the deck. You can easily add these to your hands, reoccur them onto the field to use polymerization, which you do use polymerization in the deck to help go for your fusion plays. Next we run 3 Blue Eyes Alternative. Blue Eyes Alternative is much more important in this version of Blue Eyes than in a standard version of Blue Eyes White Dragon. And you may say, well, why is that, Seto? Because on field, this counts as Blue Eyes White Dragon. And you're going to say, what's that? How's that important? Because you can use Melody of the Awakened Dragons, add this, add a vanilla, special summon this, and then if you just have a King of the Swamp or vanilla blue, another vanilla Blue Eyes in hand, that's 3 Blue Eyes, poly, and go for your big monster, or tag into the twin. It's up to you. But definitely is essential to this deck. The deck can function as a standard Blue Eyes deck, though if you wanted to cut some of the things out of the extra deck and some things in the main deck I'll talk about in a second, to make it more of a standard variation that can go for fusions, you can easily do that. Next up we run 1 Spirit Dragon. You only run 1 because in this version he doesn't, how can I say this? He's not Blue Eyes White Dragon in hand. He's good. He's good for back row clearing, and I love him. But I like to have a variation of targets for trade-in. And from cutting things down so I can be able to go for Link plays more, because I was trying to fit Scapegoats in the deck, or Photon Sanctuary when the new light Link monster comes out. Was trying to cut room in the deck out so I could do that. So I was cutting the second one out for just running 1 of it, so I could run Scapegoat for combo Link plays, because you really need to go for Links in this version of the deck. So 1 of is fine, no more. Your standard Blue Eyes White Dragon version of the deck, 3 Sage with the Eyes of Blue, searches out your stones, pitch it with Melody, pitch it through different means, trade in, not trading, excuse me, but things like Dragon Shrine, you can send to the graveyard the eggs, or you can search Effect Veiler to protect your big fusion monsters. There's just multiple different things he can be used for. He mainly helps you go for your synchro plays, but he's not as useful as a regular version of Blue Eyes, but he does come in handy. One King of the D, or King of D. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. This card is out of Blue Eyes, standard version of Blue Eyes, ritual version, and all that. Besides Blue Eyes Invoke, this card is doing amazing in this deck, because if you have a dead Poly in hand, if you have, a dead King of the Swamp, but you have this and you want to search a Melody or Return of the Dragon, Lords. It's not Return of the Dragon Lords. The new card we just got, I have Legendary Kaiba, Dragon Revival Rhapsody. If you want to search these cards out and you have a dead Poly in hand, well, just pitch it and get the card and go off with it. So I like it as a 1-of in the deck. It's another spellcaster, so you can use other things, but he really, really is good in this deck once you start playing around with him. Then you have your stones, 3 white stone of the Ancient, 1 white stone of Legend. Pretty straightforward. You usually send this a lot more to the graveyard because you want Blue Eyes in hand to go for fusion plays, but remember, like I said, standard version of Blue Eyes this deck functions under, that can go for fusion plays and link plays more. So, it's a fun version. The Achilles heel of this deck is the extra deck. That's what the Achilles heel is. 1 Effect Veiler. Helps with negation, easily searchable through Sage. You get the deal. 3 King of the Swamp. You run it. You love it. He counts as Blue Eyes in hand. Straightforward. You pitch it to search one of your Polys out because you run 2 Polys in the deck. King of the Swamp is essential in this deck. If you want to run this deck, you need 3 King of Swamp. The King of the Swamp. Because he's a substitution target. So that allows me to run a total of 3 vanilla Blue Eyes, 3 alternatives that on field, at least one of them is going to be a Blue Eyes. So let's say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 targets I possibly can have to go for a Blue Eyes. That's a lot better ratio. Next, 3 Return of the Dragon Lords. It's pretty straightforward why you run this card. I mean, amazing Reborn cards. 3 Melody of the Awakened Dragon. Pretty straightforward. It really helps by pitching your stones to grave, because in this version of the deck you don't have a lot of ways to pitch your stones necessarily, but it helps you search for your vanilla Blue Eyes. It can help you search for vanilla Blue Eyes here. It can help you search for your alternative, as you guys know, and it also can help you search for Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. So if you know in your opening hand, oh, well, I can get Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon on the field very easily, you can search out the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon with this if you already have your combo pieces in hand, or this, searching a Blue Eyes with this and a Shining Dragon will get you the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon play. You can be like, okay, first turn, go to my big fusion, search the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon out with Melody, and drop the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon first turn or second turn. It works, believe me. Works pretty well. So Melody is a lot more versatile in this version of Blue Eyes compared to, say, the standard version where you're mainly searching vanilla Blue Eyes and Blue Eyes Alternative, because you can search Blue Eyes Shining as well. Next we run 3 Trade-In. Pretty straightforward. You guys should know this by now. Blue Eyes White Dragon. You don't have as many targets, but you do have 3 targets. You have 4, 5, 6. You have a bunch of targets you can still run. 1 Cards of Consonance, more draw power. Search your stones, pitch them, use Cards of Consonance, draw power. 2 Scapegoats. It's something I'm trying out in the deck. The deck could easily go for Borlo Dragon off a Scapegoat or Sayuja in certain scenarios. So it's very, very easy to use Scapegoats, and because I didn't want to run a lot of defensive cards, Scapegoat in the same token that, it wasn't supposed to be a pun, but in the same token as Scapegoat format, you can use this offensively to help you for link plays, or defensively to protect your life points until you can get a fusion out. So it has multiple uses in the deck. So 2 Scapegoats. Helps you open your board so you can go for synchros and fusions and links and yada yada yada. 2 Pollinizations. the original artwork and the alternative, well, the original artwork and the alternative artwork, I guess. But I like running two of the separate artworks because they look so badass, especially now that we have a secret poly. That's so beautiful. And you don't want to run more than 2 of. 3 of is too much. Some people may say, well, why don't you just run 1 of? From playtesting, you run 2, and if it's dead in hand, you can pitch it, or you can pitch it with King of D and, you know, search something like Revival Rhapsody like you need to. 1 Dragon Shrine, because you don't want to be sending all your dragons to the graveyard. I know. Blue Eyes sustained itself by sending dragons to the graveyard and then reborning them to do things. But in this version of Blue Eyes, you don't necessarily want to do that. Now, if you don't want to play scapegoats, if you want to cut scapegoats out, run 2 Dragon Shrine. I'm just going to put that out there. But Dragon Shrine is only good as a 1 of in this deck. I like it. Not as a 2 of as I would in most Blue Eyes White Dragon decks. For your 1 ofs, 1 Dragon Revival Rhapsody, only as a 1 of because it can get cloggy in this version of the deck and you don't have a lot of spellcasters. You only have 4 of them. So you can easily search this out through pitching a dead spell card, any of them, out of your hand. We also have 1 Silver's Cry, still good in the deck. You guys know what it does. For your 1 other 1 of spells, we run 1 Future Fusion. I'll talk about this in a second, so don't blow your top. 1 Monster Reborn, it's staple, and 1 Sack Charge, which in this deck can be freaking utterly broken by bringing back your big fusions and doing stupid shit. And Monster Reborn as well. So these actually, with Monster Reborn coming back, it actually allows you to bring your big dragons out and then go for fusions much more easily. Now, Future Fusion. Okay, I've said this when Future Fusion came back with its errata, and I'm going to say it again. In most Blue Eyes White Dragon decks, I would never, ever, ever run Future Fusion. But in this Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, you kind of treat it the same way as you would if you were running Future Fusion in your Infernoid deck. Back before, you know, we had the Layer of Darkness Infernoids. Back when we were just trying to go for the big fusion, you know, monster. Future Fusion functions in that same way in this deck. Think of it as a massive, foolish burial. Okay? Think of it that way. If this goes off, you're going to be golden. And most of the time, you're going to have a field zone open, a main monster zone open in your main monster zone so you can bring out your big fusion. I don't care if my big fusion doesn't come out in the field. All I care about is dumping a whole bunch of freaking dragons in the graveyard. This is like, I know people say, well, it takes a turn to do shit, and it can be blown up, and Cosmic Cyclone, and okay, it happens. But if it goes off, you're going to be buku crazy for this because this can help you bring out so many things. It can bring out 5-headed dragon, Neo Blue Eyes, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon if you just want to go for it and you have a bunch of Reborn cards in your hand and then go from Blue Eyes Shining. This is a good card in the deck as a 1 of. No more, no less. Try it out. If you don't like it, you can run double Dragon Shrine instead. So if you don't like Future Fusion, run double Dragon Shrine. But when you start playtesting with the deck and you're trying to go for fusion plays and big fusion plays, you'll be like, huh, Future Fusion's actually paying off because you can be like, and like I said earlier, you don't have a bunch of ways to dump your stones into the graveyard or dump things into the graveyard. So with Future Fusion, I can just dump a whole bunch of stuff, bring out a 500 God Dragon and be like, hit me, or I can bring out Blue Eyes Neo Dragon, you know, Blue Eyes Neo Ultimate Dragon. So let me show you here what I'm talking about. I can bring this out with Future Fusion, I can bring this out with Future Fusion, and I can bring this out with Future Fusion. You know, big beefy monsters that if I have a Return of the Dragon Lords engraved are going to have to be kaiju to get around, or lightning at the least. You know, so they're big boys. And they're hard to get around to some degree. So try Future Fusion out. Like I said, think of it not as a slow fusion play, but as a, if it goes off, it's a big foolish burial for your deck. Think of it that way, and then you'll understand why I run it. If you don't like it, run double Dragon Shrine. That's all I'm going to say. So let's go into the extra deck. So first off, I got my tokens because I run my scapegoat. So my Kaiba tokens, my Akiza tokens, and my Dragonite tokens. And as I always run these girls for good luck, I always run my Skyla and Lily. And my center field zones, as I call them, I use. So let's go into this now. 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. 1 Blue Eyes Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. 1 5-headed God Dragon. 1 Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Double Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. Now, we'll talk about in a second why, but for spatial reasons, I don't run any other package. I don't run the Crystal Wing package, the the Rose Moon Dragon package. I can't afford to. I need link plays in the deck. So for that reason, I've cut those out. And the reason I replaced it with 2 Azure Eyes is because you want to reborn your Blue Eyes so you can use them for fusion plays or link plays. Alright. We do run some level 8s though, so we run the number 38 Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy because it's an amazing card. Your Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon and your Dark Matter Dragon, not your full armor dragon because the spatial reasons, okay? For your link monsters, we run 1 Link Karibo, 1 Proxy Dragon, 1 Borolo Dragon, 1 Sayuja. Sayuja you could cut out if you don't want to, but it works well in the deck and you can go for it through multiple different ways. Borolo Dragon, most of the time I go for this instead of Sayuja, but sometimes I can go for Sayuja, and if I'm in a pinch or I'm down on resources, I go for Sayuja. But you can, rotate what you want to in this deck, what you want to run here. Link Karibo, Proxy, definitely a staple. Borolo and Sayuja, choose what you want. So that's my extra deck of 15. 15 cards in the extra deck. The main deck is 40, but before I end this video, I wanted to talk briefly about some other cards that you can run in the extra deck, just because if you want to cut things out to run in there, you can run these cards. The deck can go for Dragon Master Knight. It can, because you're running King of the Swamp, and King of the Swamp could be a substitute for Black Luster Soldier. So if you wanted to run Dragon Master Knight here, you could easily run it in the deck. You could also run Mrs. Radiant. You could run Full Armor. You could run a second Neo Blue Eyes if you didn't want to go for the Blue Eyes Shining and you just wanted to turbo out Neo Blue Eyes Dragon. You could just take the Blue Eyes Shining Dragons out, or the Blue Eyes, their old Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, replace it with the Neo, take the Shining Dragon out, and do different things that way. You could run First of the Dragons if you wanted to. The Crystal Wing package, as you guys all know, you could run this if you wanted to, if you have space, as well as the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. So you can run these other cards if you wanted to. And I just want to showcase them off because spatial reasons, Master Rule 4 kind of hurts this deck. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this deck profile. I absolutely love this deck. It's a fun version of Blue Eyes because Blue Eyes White Dragon is a fun deck to play sometimes, be it competitively, for fun, whatever. But I know you guys have been asking for an update of this, so here you go. And until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling. Remember to screw the rules daily, and I'll see you guys next time. Good luck dueling to all of you.